Hey guys, how's it going? In this video, we're going to be taking a first look at the new 2020 iPad Pros, and I hope for this video to answer all of your initial questions around these new 2020 iPad Pros. Should you get the 11-inch or the 12.9-inch? Should you just get a 2018 iPad Pro? Is the Galaxy Tab S6 a better buy than the iPads in general? And should you get a tablet or a MacBook with these being similarly priced now? On the left here, I have the 11-inch 128 gigabytes Wi-Fi model in silver. And on the right here, I have the 12.9-inch model, 128 gigs, Wi-Fi only in space gray. The 11-inch is $799 and the 12.9-inch is $999. So let's start with the 11-inch. Here's our first look at the silver color here. Have our paperwork on top, some Apple stickers, have our Type-C to Type-C cable, and an 18-watt charger. Physically, nothing has changed at all on these iPad Pros, except for those camera modules. We have the dual camera setup on the 2020 iPad with the wide-angle lens and that LiDAR sensor, and just the single camera on the 2018 iPad Pro. And in terms of looking at the silver versus space gray, you can't make up your mind between which color. They honestly both look really good. Personally, I just prefer the space gray color. I just like gray in general, but they both look great. And on the front here, that silver outlining is actually a little bit more prominent than on the space gray model. But again, nothing new here physically. And the 12.9-inch model have a much larger tablet here. And same deal for inside the box. And again, literally nothing different here except for the camera modules. This one looks a little bit lighter just because of my lighting setup, but exact same device here. We'll definitely talk about sizing as the video goes on, but there's definitely a distinguishable difference between these two models. And on paper, it might not sound that much different. Maybe it doesn't look too different on camera, but in person, you were talking about a whole different type of device when it comes to the 12.9-inch iPad. But let's go ahead and boot these up, and I'll be back when these are all set up. Alright, so I've been playing around with the new iPad Pro and the 2018 iPad Pro side by side for a bit here, and really it doesn't take long to notice that there is not that much different between the old and new generation here. Speakers, display, brightness, form factor, feel in the hand, just general overall usage and experience, it is very much identical. But since that doesn't tell you guys much at home, I'm going to show you guys two tests to show how similar these devices really are. Alright, so in the first test here, we ran Geekbench on all the iPads. The top row here, these are the 2018 models. And on the bottom here, these are the 2020 iPads. And you can see that there is no difference in terms of the CPU. And on the GPU side of things, we do have a slight increase in performance on the 2020 models. On the 11-inch, we have about an 8% increase. And on the 12.9-inch, we have about a 5.5% increase. But honestly, these are probably differences you're never going to see in day-to-day use. And the second test I'm going to show to demonstrate how similar these devices really are is I'm going to export the same file in LumaFusion, a video editing app on iOS, and we're going to see how long it takes on each of the iPads. And for point of reference, this is a 10-minute video filmed in 1080p 30, and the file size is around 1 gigabyte. So in this test, the 2018 iPad Pros actually beat out the 2020 iPad Pros by several seconds. It's not a major difference, but what I'm trying to say here is that the 2018 iPad Pro is just as capable as the 2020 model, so just because this is the latest and greatest device doesn't mean you necessarily need to get these. So really, what are the differences between the 2018 and the 2020. We have 2 more gigabytes of RAM in the 2020 model, so you might see a slightly better experience when switching apps and going back to apps you haven't used in a long time. You're going to be able to jump back into those very easily without any issues at all. But again, on the 2018 model, have had no issues with that in the years of usage that I've had it. The 2020 iPad Pro now has Wi-Fi 6, so we're going to get faster connectivity, and I'm going to show you guys that faster connectivity here now with a basic internet speed test. So on the 2018 model, see we're getting around 59 to 60 download speeds, and on the 2020 model, we're getting around 72 to 73 download speeds. And as mentioned before, we have that dual lens camera setup, so we have our standard lens here, but then we also have a wide angle lens. And also Also coming to that camera square is the LiDAR sensor. So I'm in the Measure app right now, which is pretty self-explanatory. It helps you measure. But you can see here when I go to measure and I go to the end of the table, it can recognize where the end of my table is. There is a gap between my wall and the end of the table here. But now if we perform the same test here on the 2018 iPad Pro, we go to the end of the table here and it does not recognize where the end of the table is. So that LiDAR sensor definitely does help on the 2020 iPad Pro. In AR, when you're looking at a certain area, it's able to gauge the surroundings much better. For the average everyday consumer, this is probably not something you're gonna take advantage of. For me personally, this is not a viable reason to go for the new 2020 model. So after considering all of this, I know every YouTuber up to this point has pretty much recommended you to just get the 2020 iPad if you're on a much older generation iPad and you're looking to upgrade. But honestly, you should go with the 2018 iPad Pro because it is almost identical to this new model and it's going to be significantly cheaper in price. Right now on Apple's website, you can get the 2018 11-inch iPad Pro for $549. $250 less than the 2020 model. For those who have been looking to upgrade from an older generation, there has never been a better time to go for the 2018 iPad Pro. And I think this lower $549 price point makes things a lot more interesting, especially with the matchup between the iPad Pro and the Galaxy Tab S6. The Galaxy Tab S6 has always been cheaper than the iPad Pro, but now they're essentially the same price. But the problem with iPad just in general is the high cost of the accessories. You of course have the $120 Apple Pencil, and with the Tab S6 you're getting the S Pen for free. It's definitely not as premium feeling as the Apple Pencil, but it writes well, it draws well, it really gets the job done for what it needs to do. Now the keyboard case with the trackpad does come in at $170, but the keyboard case with the trackpad coming to the iPad Pro in May is going to be twice the price at $300 to $350. So even though the tablets are the same price, the accessories really make the Tab S6 a more affordable price. And I feel like most consumers and reviewers just write off any other tablet because they just view the iPad Pro as the best tablet out there. There's nothing else that really compares to it. But the Tab S6 does have advantages over the iPad Pro. It does have that AMOLED display. It has better speakers in my testing and in my opinion. We have Samsung DeX with a desktop-like experience. It really is something that I use on a daily basis and really enjoy. So there are definitely still some advantages to the Tab S6 over the iPad Pro, even though we have that more affordable price point. But at this point in time, at the time of this video, you can go back and check out some of my previous comparisons because it's still going to be a pretty similar matchup. And I think it'll be worth doing some comparison videos again with the 2020 iPad Pro. When that new keyboard case with trackpad comes out, it'll definitely be much more of an interesting matchup here when Apple has accessories on par with the Galaxy Tab S6. But if you guys want to see a dedicated comparison right now to the 2020 iPad Pro and the Galaxy Tab S6, then let me know in the comments. Now, another question I've been seeing a lot is, should you get the iPad Pro or get the MacBook Air? So it's pretty interesting to think about how things have changed so much because you're now going to be paying more for a tablet experience than what you're going to pay for a laptop experience. Because again, it comes down to the accessories. The devices themselves have the same price tag, but you have $120 for that Apple Pencil. When that Magic Keyboard case comes out, it's going to be $350. So you're really looking at almost $1,500 for a 12.9-inch setup. Whereas on the MacBook Air here, the base model starting at $999, you can get that down to $899 with student pricing. So in that regard, this is a significantly cheaper device. And for general tasks, I've been really enjoying the MacBook Air so far. I've been using it for web browsing. I've been typing up some documents, been listening to music, been doing some video conference calls for work. All of the basic tasks, it does them really well, really quickly. The 8 gigabytes of RAM is plenty sufficient. The Magic Keyboard feels great. It's an excellent typing experience. The backlit keys look great. They get really, really bright. The trackpad is huge. It's going to be way bigger than the one that's going to come to the Magic Keyboard case on the iPad Pro. For me personally, I have actually been using an iPad Pro more than my MacBook Air or other laptops that I have. I now edit all of my videos and do all my video work on my iPad. General media consumption, listening to music, quickly typing something up or jotting something down with the Apple Pencil. But with that said, this is still not a true laptop replacement. So if you need a true laptop computer experience, I definitely recommend still going with the MacBook Air. And you definitely won't regret it because in the long run, you're going to be paying less for this than the iPad and all of its accessories. The only real downside I've had so far with the MacBook Air is the gaming experience. For a game like Skyrim, we're only getting around 20 frames per second. It does play one of my favorite games, Age of Empires 3, at low graphical settings. It is still kind of laggy here, but people are not going to be buying a MacBook Air to play games from 2005. Definitely do not buy this to play games. And the last question I want to answer in this video is, should you get the 11-inch or the 12.9-inch iPad Pro? I had a very hard time coming up with this decision myself when the 2018 models came out. I really wanted to get the 12.9-inch, but that $999 price tag is definitely a lot more than on the $799 11-inch iPad Pro. 11-inch iPad Pro definitely feels like more of an actual tablet. If you plan on taking this into bed with you or just sitting on the couch or somewhere in the house to read articles and stuff, this is a very nice tablet to just hold and have for handheld use. I rarely use my 12.9-inch for any sort of handheld use. It always ends up on the table with a keyboard case propped up, more of use like an actual computer. You still can take care of your same productivity tasks on the 11-inch, but after extensively using both of these tablets, I can tell you that this bigger screen real estate definitely helps for serious tasks that you need to get done. But overall, the 11-inch usually wins me over, just again for that portability aspect, and also the fact that it's $200 cheaper. But if you're looking for an all-out tablet experience, having it being used for everything you do in your life, then the 12.9-inch iPad Pro is going to be the way to go. I think Samsung is really behind here with not having a larger tablet. There is nothing even competing with this 12.9-inch iPad Pro at the time of this video, so I really hope for the Galaxy Tab S7 or the next Galaxy Tab device to come out that they bring out at least a 12-inch tablet so that the 12.9-inch iPad Pro actually has some competition. But what are your thoughts on the 2020 iPad Pro? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up. And please consider subscribing to the Shane Simons YouTube channel today and hitting that bell icon for notifications. Hope to see you guys around for the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.